first one is lack of specificity. Vague terms, for instance, about meeting times or deadlines, leaving workers wondering, what's expected of them. Such terms, could include call me anytime, I need it by COB, we'll talk next week, let's do it at your convenience. Push back when you receive non-specific terms respectfully, but you need to do it. Next, you should be framing things in a positive light, right? How many times do you tell someone what not to do or what to stop doing? Saying don't forces the person listening to guess out what you want because it fails to provide guidance for future behavior. So focusing on desirable behaviors frames the discussion in a much more positive light rather than stop, don't, negative instructions. The next is lack of urgency, right? If a conversation is touchy or uncomfortable, some people tend to put it off. Learn to confront someone or a situation as soon as possible, which does not mean being argumentative or disrespectful. Communicate at the first most appropriate time, which may mean waiting until emotions have settled down or when you have a private moment to talk with someone.
So the next mistake that people make is lack of respectful responses. Sometimes you don't think about how you're going to phrase things. And too often, managers, supervisors, colleagues, they'll communicate about work, but with comments like, that's a great idea, but. So instead, maybe couching a suggestion about a colleague's work with comments like, that's a great idea. And I had another idea that might improve on it. Like something like that, where you're not negating every compliment that you've just.
The next common mistake is just inappropriate tone and body language. Even on Zoom, glares, stares, rolled eyes, all can be intimidating during conversation. And so you want to encourage your workers to be honest with a colleague if their tone or body language makes them uncomfortable.
Another big mistake is multitasking. So if somebody is multitasking while talking to you, like, how does that make you feel? Especially if it's something important to you, does it make you feel important in that conversation?
In an office environment, there can be a lot of touchy issues that people tend to dance around. What are the elephants in the room that no one is talking about? So being direct and addressing issues as they arise helps everyone and the team be more productive.
When hidden risks manifest, they can easily expose companies to extreme volatility, successful legal claims, and destruction of any market capitalization that you've had. And all of these are really a major distraction to employees, right? Companies with huge culture problems will typically underperform their peers with stronger cultures, and they'll result in problems like poor sales growth, increased costs associated with staff turnover, and like huge morale issues. So while having a strong positive culture, of course, does not guarantee success, the opposite almost certainly guarantees failure.
The symptoms of a toxic culture, workplace complaints, employment lawsuits, high staff turnover, reduced productivity can emerge in separate parts of an organization at different times and under different managers, right? In the C-suite and in the boardroom, the festering issues may go undetected or even worse, suppressed, which is why only a smart defense is a good defense, to identify and mitigate any dysfunctional internal issues before they hit the headlines or the bottom line. But background checks can be helpful in uncovering issues such as resume embellishment, fraud, criminal history, but not every issue is reflected in public records. So for this reason, other areas to consider in such assessments include the types of STEM systems and frameworks in place to report issues or complaints. One tool for uncovering issues is conducting discrete interviews of former employees. We often recommend an exit interview, specifically those who directly experience the culture on a daily basis, and asking the right questions can provide that invaluable and actionable insight. And so in addition to just uncovering defects, such an examination sometimes yields real upsides. It helps you understand the corporate strengths that may have been previously unacknowledged.